Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Apex Racing TV's coverage of the second round of the IMSA Sportscar Championship here at Watkins, Glen International Raceway. My name's Scott Newton, and alongside me tonight is Daniel Late. Welcome, Daniel. Coming into this race, we saw that there were over 120 drivers registered for this race, so hopefully we'll have some cracking racing for tonight's action.
Yeah, good evening, Scott, and to all the viewers out there. It's certainly looking forward to this one. I think we had 4 splits for tonight's official series, so a lot of participation out the tonight, especially with as the guys go into this week's 6-hour race here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, absolutely. Just taking a look at the number of drivers that we have in tonight's top split. We've got 33 drivers registered in this split with 8 Daytona prototypes, and then a good 16 GTE cars, and then a further 9 GT3s. So still a little bit more dominated by GTEs, but still certainly a great mix through all the categories tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see some variety out there. I mean, we spoke of that a lot last season, wanting to see more of the Daytona prototypes come out, and obviously with this, an iRacing special event in the 6 hours on, it's a lot of guys getting the final tweaks into their setups for the race, and great to see them out here tonight. And I think, based on what we're seeing with the drivers, some very, very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Just taking a look at the rough SOFs for all of the classes tonight. So in the Daytona prototypes, we've got around about a 4.6k strength of field. In the GTE in the GTE cars tonight, we've got a 4.9, roughly about a 4.9k SOF. So that's a little bit higher than what we've normally seen across the prototypes and the GTEs, but also a little bit higher in the GT3s as well, with the 2.6k average SOF between all the drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you don't really need a huge strength of field or a great I rating to put on some good racing, and I think we've seen that in the past too with a lot of the guys out here. They may not have quite the highest number, but consistency and car quality for most of these guys very, very sharp as well. And just having a look through down some of the time, and we're in the middle of halfway through qualifying at the moment. It looks like Marcelo out there on a 1:38.1, so 3/10 gap at the moment over Evan Merrin, which is nice quick time in that car there, and Zachary Hamlin not too far behind them, a further 2/10 back in the third outright.
Yeah, absolutely. Saw that Tim Greven put the car on pole last week at Monza for a number 1, which was good to see him in the overall pole position, but sadly he got beaten out by Carl Jansen for Core Sim Racing. In the GTE class last week, Daniel Benefield took the pole and the win in that category, and also Fraser Williamson, I think, started a little bit further back from his normal starting position, but he managed to get the class win in the GT3s last week. So some fairly solid results for all of those 3 drivers here, but certainly looking forward to this week. Got just over 2 minutes left in qualifying.
Absolutely, and good to see a lot of the guys really starting to get on board and use this as a continuation series, as you say. Likes of Daniel Benefield, Fraser Williams coming back, racing further through the championship, certainly gives you a lot of consistency, and the guys they're racing against will really appreciate knowing sort of what they're up against as far as everyone, and those first couple of races will really help them decipher where and who they can lean on and who they can't, and where they sort of set themselves up for within the race itself.
Yeah, certainly. Just looking to see if there's any other drivers on track at the moment. We've got pretty much everyone. We've got Jakub Widerka at the moment, trying to put in a lap. His previous best was a 1:46.7. He's got 3 personal best sectors, and it looks as though that he improved, but it was only by less than a tenth of a second. So I don't think he gained any positions from that, so he will sit 5th in class at this time.
Yeah, and there are a couple of drivers still yet to set times. We've got Michael Davies and Alberto Rodriguez not yet with a lap time. Looks like Michael's just driving around at the moment, so we'll keep an eye on him just to see where he slots in for his time. I believe this is just an outlap for him at the moment. And then we've got Jack Sweppenhole out in that AMG Mercedes.
Absolutely. He had a fairly strong outing last week at Monza. See whether he can improve on a 1 minute 47.8. He does to a 47.44, but sadly does not improve any positions. Marinsky, I think, finished second in class last week at Monza, so he's certainly looking to improve on his qualifying position at the moment. He's coming around the final sector now. 1 minute 43.1. Only 200ths away from Wayne Burke in the Ferrari ahead of him, but sadly, with the qualifying over, it doesn't improve.
All right, as the cars make their way up on the grid, we'll start running through the order and just let everyone know where their favourite drivers are tuning in. So Simon Marcino will take out pole position tonight on 138.1. Alongside him tonight will be Evan Maran, just 3/10 behind. Zach Hanlon in third in the 20. Dylan Scrivens in fourth position tonight with Tim Greven in fifth. Timu Toika, series regular from last season, back out in sixth tonight with Chris Parnell in seventh and Michael Davies in seventh. Josh Anderson will be starting out in ninth and first in class for the GTE category with Jackson Harlow just alongside him. Adam Pillow out of 11th and Bas Visa in 12th tonight.
In the 13th position, we've got Daniel Benefield. 14th, Carlos Martin. 15th, Dominic Oliveira. And 16th, Alex Gale. 17th, Wayne Burke. 18th, Eno Marinsky. Georgie Zajon. I apologise for that, Georgie, for that one. In 20th, Tay Kim. And then 21st, Yao Oliveira. 22nd, Kieran Harrison. 23rd, Ben Snell. 24th, Alberto Rodriguez. And in the GT3s, we've got in the class pole position, series regular Fraser Williamson, Sven Beber in 26th, Sayaful Arifin in 27th, Christian Rose in 28th position, 29th, Jakob Wudurka in 30th position. We got Ben Johnson. In the 31st position, we got Jax Swainpole. 32nd, Shuhei Ikeda in the 32nd position, and in 33rd and last overall, Simon Clausen.
I'm just seeing the guys now get away with their siding lap here. Bit of a traditional circuit here. Got the long warm-up lap, so a lot of guys probably looking to save a little bit of fuel here to get them home. Obviously, we will have one pit stop tonight, and it'll be interesting to see how late some of these guys look to make their strategy. We came to sort of see that last time out, or last season at least. Most guys pushing between 25 to 30-minute fuel range, so we'll see if that sort of rings true, but certainly around this track tonight with the help of the draft, you're probably going to find that time maybe pushed out a little bit further.
Yeah, traditionally with Watkins being such a high throttle percentage circuit, I would have thought would have maybe pushed it with the fuel strategy to maybe possibly 30 minutes. But tonight we've got the boot configuration that we're running tonight, so it will be a little bit of a fuel saver tonight. So I would say that would push the fuel burnout to, well, the fuel stint's probably to about 32 to 35 minutes with the current fuel restrictions for tonight's race.
Yeah, definitely, and probably a few key points that we do need to keep an eye out around the track here. Up through the bus stop chicane, as we just see the guys working their way through that now. A lot of side-by-side action as they make their way out, and down through there we'll have to keep an eye out for some good passing opportunities. And then down, as you can see them go through the boot here, a lot of 2x2 side-by-side action that will lead to some great overtaking. So racing aplenty for all these guys out here, and going to be really interesting to see how long they wait for those moves and where they decide to pull them off tonight.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, it will be interesting to see how close you've got to be to get a run into the bus stop chicane to see whether there will be many overtakes tonight. I know that it can be a little bit of a tricky circuit to overtake, but if you do get the run, you can certainly make your way up the inside. Going 2x2 through the bus stop will be very time consuming, so you've just got to watch out and pick your battles. I would think for those drivers out there vying for the lead and their various positions throughout the field.
Absolutely, and we've got the Daytona prototypes just starting to make their way up to the back end. We've got really good separation between all three classes at the moment. The GTE's just about to pop up on screen here, and just getting around the back end of the boot is the GT3 cars. So a lot of separation, so we should see some really good racing from all these classes as the guys make their way up to this green flag.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just waiting for the pace car to come into the pit lane, and we'll have our 45-minute race. And we will be underway as Maseno gets a great jump from Evan Marion, and Zach Hanlon looking to jump up on the inside, but Dylan Scrivens is trying to challenge to going side by side into turn 1. Timu Toika moving down 2 positions from where he started. It's a bad jump for him. In GTEs, they've actually caught up quite a lot, so they've had a good jump. Joshua Anderson and Susan Harlow have maintained position. Got Adam Pilo jumping up 5 positions from where he started, so good jump for him, as well as Carlos Martin. In the GT3 category, we've got Fraser Williamson holding position at the moment. Sven Beber up 3 positions from where he started. Christian Rose and Jakob Waderka down 2. So some drivers having cracking starts, but others not having such the best of starts.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of guys got away very, very cleanly through the start, especially with the way that they get off here, very high speed. So good to see everyone getting their way through. We've got Fraser Williams starting to get a bit of a gap up in that Audi over second place. Weber just behind him, so Sev Weber just dropping back a little bit here and starting to come under a little bit of pressure by Saif Afin just behind him. So those guys starting to form a little bit of a train here. We'll see some battling not too far up from these guys, but up front we've got a good little battle with Tim Grieven and Chris Parnell by the looks. I think actually no, that's skipped out a bit there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just looking at Marceno at the moment as he's coming around the final corner to lead lap number 1, and he has opened up a 0.9 of a second gap over Zach Hanlon at the moment. Actually, coincidentally, teammates at Altus Esports. So 1-2 for Altus, and showing their dominance at the moment. Evan Marion at the moment currently sitting 3rd. But Purnell only a 1/10 of a second behind Timu Toika, and it looks as though that Toika is going fairly defensive into the bus stop. Just a little 4 battle pack here, having to go in single file through the bus stop and around the carousel.
Yeah, it looks like everyone's starting to play pretty nicely, just working their way through. Obviously only lap 2, so very early on to be going the big move there, but Chris Parnell really starting to apply a bit of pressure on the back of Timu Toika there, and Timu, like I say, having to really keep an eye on that mirror as he's again working on the back of Grievance there.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just seen that there's a huge battle pack here. We've got about 7 or 8 cars in the GTE category at the moment. Looked as though that Marinsky got past Alex Gale through the bus stop chicane, so he's moved up 5 positions from where he started. So he's had a fairly solid start from his qualifying position, but looks as though that everyone's pretty much settled in single file. But looks as though that this battle pack is certainly going to be one to watch throughout the race.
Yeah, definitely. Basically from Bas Vista down, the guys are only a few tenths to half a second gap between each other as we see them fanning out down the front straight in towards turn one here. These guys, a little bit defensive. Who's that up the inside? The Ferrari there. It looks like Carlos Martins, just a little defensive, maintaining that position. Does leave him a little bit vulnerable on the run up the hill and down the towards the run into the bus stop here.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw last week that it was fairly dominated by Ferraris, very, very quick in the straight line. See that BMW is trying to go around the outside, but he won't have the line. He'll have to close back in single file. We've got another couple of BMWs behind this two-way battle at the moment. But it looks as though that the Ferrari of Carlos Martins opened up just a little bit over a couple of tenths of a second.
Yeah, trying to get himself up on the back of the train just in front of him there. So guys are starting to stretch out a little bit. Martin just a little, maybe the cork in the bottle, just a touch here in the Ferrari. Over Gaia, just behind him there, as we jump up to Dominic Oliveira in the geodesic car. Got a good drive in the BMW there, still able to keep Adam Pillow just behind him, and not too far behind you got Wayne Burke and Era Mirsky just behind them in the Ferrari and Porsche.
Yeah, certainly. Just bring up those intervals as we currently find them on lap number 4. Currently 5 minutes into this race. Marciano's managed to open up a 2-second gap over Zach Hanlon at the moment. So last lap time for him was a 38.7, comparing that to Zach of a 39.4. So 7 tenths gained in that last lap.
Yeah, and the car for Simon looking very, very good. He's, like I say, opening up quite a good lead out front. We've got a nice little battle here with Zach Hanlon and Evan Maron having a fight here for second outright. And while these two scrap it out, that will bring Dylan Scrivens back up into this. So we're going to have a nice little three-way battle here with these guys as they make their way just up towards or getting around the toe of the boot as they head towards the hill there. A little bit of oversteer on exit for Evan there, but able to keep it nicely in control.
Yeah, just going to go on board a little bit to see how the car's reacting for Evan Maron. But certainly looking fairly planted at the moment. It's pretty much all over the back of Hanlon at the moment, trying to put pressure on the second Ultra C Sports car.
And it looks like Hanlon carrying a little bit of rear end damage there on that left rear wing. Just bent maybe a slight, which might hamper him a touch in the straight line, but with some of the twisties here, he should be reasonably okay. But yeah, Evan not wanting to let him go, thinks about it down the inside, pulls back in, and that car working very, very nicely for Evan Maron at the moment.
Yeah, pretty much another second gap that Marciano's been able to open up the last time around, 39.1 last time compared to 40.1 for Zach Hanlon. So, but Marion not able to get up and close up in the toe. So this battle will pretty much be going on as he get pretty much right up to the back of Hanlon, but it's not able to do anything with it. He'll have to fall back in line. It's a little overtake for Kieran Harrison. Overtaken Tay Kim into the bus stop chicane, so great run for him. Moves up into 11th place in class, 19th overall, so four positions gained for him this race so far in 8 minutes in.
Yeah, doing very, very well there. And it looks like Joe Oliveira just starting to work up on the back. At the same time, he's also got Carlos Martin, who we saw a little bit go right up on the back of that Porsche, and looking down the inside, potentially looking to make a move. So we didn't quite see what happened to Carlos. He was up a little further earlier on there and seems to have faded just a bit. So whether he had a spin or not, but looking at the timings, he's down 8 spots on his current starting position. So probably not really where he wants to be at this point in time.
Absolutely not. Must have picked up a little bit of damage at the start of the race where we missed that, sadly. But having said that, hopefully he'll be able to recover from where he is. He was roughly about 9/10 of a second quicker than Ben Snell last lap. So there's certainly some pace in that Ferrari of Rodriguez. But yeah, still 36 minutes plus 1 lap to go in this race.
Yeah, we might jump up to the front of the GTE field here. It looks like Baz Vassar really closing in on the back of Zach Hanlon as well. So change of position here with Visser. Actually, is he? No, I think he's just got Daniel Benefield just in front of him. So these guys really close together on track and not too far behind them. You've also got Dominic Oliveira and Adam Pillow as well. So this train still hasn't really let go of each other at all through this race.
Yeah, so we're just going to run on the gearbox cam of Daniel Benefield. Driver for Positive Sim Racing. As Visser's trying to look up the inside of the toe, but unable to do anything about that. Gap currently sitting at about 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, Visser able to get the nose in quite well. Maybe loses a little bit of mid corner by comparison to Benefield there, but touch of damage on the nose I just noticed as well. So don't think that'll hurt him at all, but yeah, just maybe struggling a little bit with keeping that nose in close through the corners there. But Benefield, from what we've seen previously with him in other series and championships, is very, very contained and very consistent driver. So certainly not going to be an easy job here for Baz to get past him.
Yeah, certainly. Just going to have a quick look at Timu Greven and... Oh, sorry. Timo Toika and Tim Greven. Sorry about that. As I think Timu has managed to get past Tim in the space of the last 500 or 600 meters into the bus stop. So that's one position gained there for Toika.
Yeah, and you got Chris Parnell too, not too far off the back of that little group there, just sniffing around looking for an opportunity to get past as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on him and see how Chris can able to get past, or whether he can get past Tim.
Yeah, Purnell last lap time of 1 minute 40.0. Comparing that to Tim Greven of a 40.67. So as I think Purnell's made a bit of a mistake in the heel section of the course, as Toika having a bit of a drift around the coming back onto the main part of the cup layout. But yeah, as they're going on to lap number 8, it seems as though that Toika lost 0.2 of a second to Scrivens the last time, and Greven lost 0.8, but that was mainly due to the overtake. So see how this settles, as Greven's got a pretty good run through the S's there. See whether he can retaliate with another overtake, but it looks as though he's not too far back, and he'll have to stay in line. This is the battle for 5th and 6th overall at the moment.
Yeah, we're going to need to see Tim getting a little bit closer up onto the gearbox, coming out of the run up onto that back straight there a bit, to be able to really facilitate that move. A little too far back, gets the run on the top end, but just not quite close enough early on to get it done more comfortably at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going to have a look at this 6-car battle at the moment. See Benefield, Visser, Oliveira, Pirlo, Wayne Burke, and Enna Marinsky. It's this 6-car battle at the moment. Closest battle between this group is between Pirlo and Burke.
Yeah, all the cars very evenly matched. They've been together for quite a while now, this group, and we look a little bit a couple of laps ago. We were watching Visser and Benefield going at it, and those still status quo with Benefield just leading the way around at this moment. But All cars very, very evenly matched, and it's going to come down a lot to driver style and how close you can push it on the S's up over the hill and look for that move in towards the bus stop. But unless one of these guys makes a mistake, I think we might see this train continuing on as it is for quite a while to come.
Yeah, certainly. Just going to have a quick look at our GT3 field as well, just give you a bit of an update on how they're faring in the race. We've got Fraser Williamson with an 8-second lead over Sven Beber, with a further 1.3 second gap to Christian Rose. So it looks as though that from second back, there's pretty much a second covering each position, all the way down to pretty much fifth of Ben Johnson. So still some fairly close battles. The split of the GT3 category, we've got 4 Audis and 5 Mercs, so pretty evenly matched tonight, so it's great to see.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like we've also got Simon starting to make his way up through the GT3 field as well, so just keep an eye on how he's going there. I did see just in the YouTube chat as well, some of the guys asking just to check how the weather's looking out there as well. Just think for those that have come late, we might pull them up quickly as well and just go through the weather conditions out there tonight. So 24 degrees temperature tonight, 44 degrees out on track. So a bit of a slippery one for the guys. That's clear and a reasonably low wind at 9 kilometres an hour. So all in all, not too bad a race conditions. Maybe a little hot for the tyres, and probably why we're seeing the time starting to fall off. Last time by for Simon, a minute 40 versus Zach Hanlon there in the 1:41. So those guys have dropped a couple of seconds at the start of this race, and no doubt that will certainly be due to the track temperatures at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. As we are just looking for another battle at the moment, timing screen's pretty much going all over the place at the moment. But it seems as though that Evan Marion is into the pit lane, so whether he's at an incident, we'll just have a look at the event viewer for that one to see if we can pick up anything. But it actually just looks as though that he's entered the pit lane, so fairly early strategy for Marion. But with 40 seconds into the box, I think that might be terminal if he's...
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that and see if he's able to rejoin. But one thing I have noticed too while we're watching this train go around, it looks like Benefield's been able to skip away from Vista just a little bit. That gap extending now to just over 3 seconds. So we didn't see what the cause of that was. Those guys were only a few tenths of a second behind each other a lap or two ago there. So it's a lot of pressure release from Benefield, and we'll start seeing him streak away now that the guys behind him are battling as hard as they are still.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fairly evenly spread, actually. It's quite surprising. We've got 3 BMWs in the top 5 for GTE, so a couple of Porsches of Benefield and Vista, and then a little bit further down, the first Ferrari that's in GTE is actually Wayne Burke, so he's doing fairly well to stay under the back of this train of 5 or 6 cars. And then, yeah, there's actually no Fords tonight, so that was actually fairly interesting to see as well. So, yeah, sadly no Fords as Burke is into the pit lane.
Yeah, a little unfortunate we don't see one Ford. I don't believe we actually had one out last time out at Monza either, but a little bit of change of fortune to see the Ferrari not really as dominant in a straight line as what we would have seen at Monza, especially with the high-speed nature of this circuit. So good that we are getting still some class varieties. We just dropped on board here with Jackson Susan Harlow in the TTL car there. So that car looking very nice. It's got a nice little cushion over Benefield, about 5-second gap at the moment. And times for him looking quite consistent, sitting around the 1:42 as the quickest. Last time by 1:43.4. So half a second slower than what we saw from Josh Anderson just ahead of him, and the gap first to second in class at the moment has jumped out to just over 6.2 seconds.
Yeah, I thought I'd just give these guys a bit of airtime, given the fact that they have some quite large gaps around them. So obviously Anderson, class leader in GT, has got a 22-second gap to the 7th place of Michael Davies in. He's actually last on track of the Daytona prototype cars, as looks as though that Marion has decided to retire, hasn't decided to come out of the pit box, which is certainly unfortunate, as he was currently, at the time, he was in the final podium position, so certainly unfortunate for him tonight.
Yeah, definitely not what he would have wanted. Looks like Simon Klaus is also probably had an end to his night as well. He's been in the box now for just over 4 minutes also, so that seems reasonably terminal for him. But just continue jumping on board who we are with at the moment, Kieran Hansen, currently sitting in 10th outright tonight, up 5 positions on his starting position, running a little wide there through turn 1, and probably a little wider than ideally where you'd want to be, especially given the runoff and how much you can use out there, not where you want to be coming on, certainly.
Yeah, it certainly would have picked up the off track there. The stewards are going to be wary of that one, as where the concrete meets the grass is where the track limit is. So yeah, it will be interesting to find out after the race how many incidents that people will have. But Watkins is generally known for a track that's not very heavy on off tracks or incident points, so it should be fairly reasonable for all the drivers. I see that Hanlon's taken to the pit lane, so early stop for him. 20 minutes into this race on lap number 13. So we'll have to see where he comes out relative to Scrivens and Toyka, but it should be fairly comfortable for him once all the pit stop cycles play out.
Yeah, definitely. It would be probably our best representative time too of what we can expect for pit stop times for the guys. So 40 seconds stationary there. So not too bad all in all, and should be able to be back underway very, very quick.
Yeah, pit box time of 10.3, so pretty average, I would say, for the Daytona prototype throughout the series. So just taking about I would say 15 minutes worth of fuel, roughly, plus or minus 1 lap. So, but Hanlon has just managed to get out in front of Josh Anderson, so that won't cost him any time.
No, and judging too by what we've seen with the pace of both cars, there is a relative gap of about 3 seconds outright pace between both drivers there, so should be able to get past reasonably easy as we jump back with Adam Marinsky in the Porsche there, still on the back of this train. He's got Adam Pillow and Dominic Oliveira just in front of him, and these 4-car trains still fighting on very, very hard. Daniel Benefield hasn't been able to gap the field or gap this little group just as much as we saw before, but the boys ahead still in for a really good challenge here. They've managed to drop Alex Gell and Goran Zenjon off them as well, so those guys dropped a little further back, and they've still got time to make it up. We're still only 22 minutes into this race of 45 at the moment.
Yeah, certainly. It looks as though that Marzano is having a little bit of a connection issue, or whether that's just a live timing having a little bit of an issue, as I see that he was falling down the timing screen for a little bit, but still in this race, currently leading, got a 10.5 second lead over Dylan Scrivens at the moment. But certainly once all these pit stop cycles play out, we'll certainly see where he will filter out. But also worth noting that there was a couple more drivers that went into the pit lane. Tim Grieven, 10.3 second stop, and 41.2 in the lane. So slightly quicker for Grieven compared to Hanlon, but Grieven still 7.2 second gap. So a little bit further than we would have liked to have been, but still in 6th place. So solid effort from him. throughout this race, as we've passed the halfway mark now.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like we also had Michael Davies in for a stop as well, quite a bit longer. He was stationary for 26 seconds and a 58 or 57.5 second transit time. So probably a lot more fuel than he needed on board at the moment, which did drop him a long way down the field. He's dropped behind Aaron Marinsky. He just made that pass. So coming up around Adam Pillow and that 4-car battle we were watching just before. But he's a long way out of position.
I've just seen that there's a bit of a contact for Davies. We'll just have to see whether we can get that back on replay. So just coming out of the tow, I would think that the discrepancy in pit stop time has been tyres, because that 16-second delta. Oh, he's just lost the back end, and yeah, sadly, it was that Marinsky's had nowhere to go. So an unfortunate mistake there for Davies has cost Marinsky a good, I would say, good couple of seconds, as we're going to bring it back to the live picture.
Yeah, still finds himself behind Marinsky there. Should get the move done after they get through the bus stop here. Going to have a lot more pace with that Daytona prototype, but that really has opened up the battle further ahead now. We've got Dominic Oliveira on screen here in the BMW with Adam Pillow right behind him in that Porsche. These guys are just a tenth of a second. Pillow down the inside, nice solid move, getting that Porsche in there. Going to struggle a little bit, possibly being on the outside as they crest the toe of the boot here, and Oliveira able to get a defensive run back up the inside and retain that position.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see that BMW pull off the move as Porsche's trying to come back at him. Trying to go around the outside at the heel. Certainly not going to be able to do it from there in that position. Oliveira doing a stellar job, being very defensive. Currently coming up to 26 minutes elapsed into this race. This is the battle for 5th in class and 11th and 12th overall at the moment. So still a solid battle, as we see a couple of GT cars, one GT3 and one GTE coming in. See that Marinsky's decided to take to the pit lane to alleviate some of that damage that he had from the spinning prototype.
Yeah, I was going to say that'll release Davies to sort of get back under his way, but Pillow back down the inside should get this move done and dusted in towards the bus stop here. Very aggressive line, swings right across the nose and sets himself up for a good run through the bus stop. So nice job there. Dominic Oliveira not wanting to let it go, but now they're going to have Davies up behind them too in that DPI. So could potentially blow this little battle open with Davies coming through, and he'll just have to pick his mark, as we saw before, locking up those rears and causing himself a bit of time earlier. We'll just have to be a bit more cautious how he gets through it.
Yeah, certainly wouldn't want to make that mistake, as they come up to the same section that Davies had that unfortunate mistake 1 or 2 laps ago. But yeah, Davies not close enough to make the overtake, as we've got quite a number of GT3s into the pit lane right now. Williamson, Weber, Johnson, Ikeda into the pit lane now. So Williamson's just about to come out of the pit lane at a 44 to 45 second transit time, I would think. Just over 47 seconds actually. So yeah, just bring up Williamson on screen. It's opened up that gap to Rose, who's got past Beber through the pit stops. I think, well, he's gained 9 tenths of a second just purely through the pit box time, but good 1.6 that he gained throughout the pit lane. So great driving there from Christian Rose to get up into net second place. We've got Jakob Wikerta at the moment. Oh, sorry, Widerka. Currently leading in GT3, but has not taken to the pit lane yet.
And Rose kind of find himself in a little bit of bother here with some lap traffic or passing traffic trying to get past him. He's got a Porsche and a Daytona prototype, so we'll get a bit of a view here, or a visual representation, just how much quicker each of these category class cars are. We might even potentially see 3 wide here, which could be a bit of a dangerous run here, but we've got the Porsche getting through and the Daytona prototype just dropping back in, but should be able to get that pass done as they head out of the boot and back up towards the, where are we now? Yeah, getting up towards the back end of this lap.
Yeah, certainly heading into the final sector. I think that was through turn 9 that they were heading through now. We've got 2 wide with the Porsche and an Audi. That will break up that battle. Just that little bit between the battle of Pirlo and Oliveira at the moment, but it seems as though that they've managed to gather that back up, stay within, was it 0.4 of a second as they're coming through turn 1. See that one of the GT cars is up with Durka, so he's just come out behind Christian Rose, so it's a solid gain there for Widerka, I thought, as Weber has fallen down another position.
Yeah, looking at the pit stop times there that we see, very, very close together between Widerka and Rose, only a 1/10 of a second stationary between both of those drivers, so fuel timing's probably pretty well on point, and they should be good to go through to the end of this race now, as we just clocked over the 30-minute mark, so final 15 minutes to go for these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. Just see Michael Davis just trying to make his way past Daniel Benefield. But I reckon Daniel will play it smart. I think that Davies has taken to the pit lane. But yeah, it looks as though that Davies is not close enough to get the run. And he'll have to fall back in line as they're coming up to turn number 9. It's actually interesting to see that whilst there has been about 5 or 6 cars that were in GTE have taken to the pit lane, they're going quite a lot longer than I thought. But having said that, though, we're just going to watch Benefield to see whether he takes to the pit lane. Harlow's in and Benefield's in as well. So got Visser, Pirlo, Oliveira, Gal by the looks of it. So quite a number of people in GT still not taking to the pit lane.
Yeah, a little bit of a surprise to see the guys pushing on as long as they are. We've still got this battle on screen here with Oliveira and Pillow just ahead. That gap's opening up a little bit, but the guys getting some very, very good mileage in these cars. Obviously, I think we saw last season at Mid-Ohio, we had Richard Westbrook in that Ford go almost to the 40-minute mark. So it's certainly very possible to save a lot of fuel in these cars and look to play the strategy based on how far you can go. So it's going to be interesting to see when these remaining drivers come in. Obviously, we've still got Josh Anderson out front in the GT category, yet to make his stop. And who else we got? Bez Vassar, Adam Pillow, Dominic Oliveira, as we've got up on screen here. So about 8 cars still yet to come in for their compulsory stops tonight. And we'll keep an eye out to when they are going to count them down.
Yeah, certainly. Closest battle on the track at the moment is between Wayne Burke and Daniel Benefield. So it looks as though that Wayne's actually gained quite a lot throughout this second stint. He's certainly undercut quite a lot of people. If Visser, Pirlo, Oliveira maintain position. So as I say that, the top 4 in GT, top 5 in 6 are into the pit lane right now. So pretty much everyone right on the limit now. We'll see whether Martin takes to the pit lane. Nope, he's going another one. So he will be the only car not to have taken to the pit lane.
Yeah, I'm not pulling a reading at the moment on a stationary time for Wayne Burke either, so I'm not entirely sure whether he has stopped. He's got a transit time of 17 seconds, but I don't see an actual pit stop for him. So he could still be required to come in later on in this race, but at the moment, certainly got very, very good pace in that car as we see the last of those stoppers all dropping back into position here. We had, who was that? Visser and a couple of the other guys, Oliveira, Pillow, all drop back in. So that little battle still continues. Looks like Aaron Marinsky's actually been able to catch up too after he had that coming together with, it was at Davies in the DPI there. So it hasn't really affected him too much. The pit stop time is very, very good for Aaron there, 9-second stop. So that certainly helped him out a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Seen a 2.6 second pit lane time for Josh, so whether it was just a slight disconnection for him that may have caused that, but yeah, Josh was certainly into the pit lane last time around. As I see that, yeah, Wayne Burke has apparently been through the pit lane twice, but obviously that hasn't been the case, and he's made a massive jump up into, I think, well, he's currently fifth place in GTE, so a solid effort for him. But yeah, certainly showing a lot of talent that he has in tonight's race for One Performance Racing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just keeping an eye a little bit further back here as some of the guys making their way around. Some battles still starting to form up the back end of this field here. Rodriguez and Kurian Harrison still fighting very, very hard there. They got a little bit of lap traffic just ahead in that GT3 AMG there, but very, very close battling here for these guys.
Yeah, certainly only one line through the S's. That red and black Ferrari is going to have to try and go around the outside, unless the Merc lets him through, which he looks as though that he is. The grey and blue Ferrari will make his way past as well. So battle still going on between Rodriguez and Gal by the looks of it. 10th and 11th in class at the moment.
Yeah, and I did see a little battle starting to form up towards the front. I'm not sure whether my timing's playing a few tricks on me or not, but it looked like Timmy Toyka and Zach Hanlon were starting to get a good little wriggle on there and a battle. So a little bit of lap traffic in another GT3 car just to contend with, but these guys right up on the back of each other and only just separated now by about a few tenths of a second, really. There's not a lot in it at all. And we got here Dylan Scrivers just behind this little battle. So actually, yeah, Toyka and Scrivers 8 tenths of a second at the moment, and these guys battling for third in class and third outright.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, we got Tim Grevin and Chris Purnell only two and a bit tenths of a second back. So two battles in prototypes at the moment. Certainly very, very interesting as we're trying to make our way through the lap traffic. Arafin in the GT3 jumping out of the way there. So that's cost Grevin just a little bit of time, but as he's having a bit of an oversteer moment through the final corner. So the lap times are this time for Purnell and Grevin. 2 tenths gain for Grevin last time around, 40.8 for Purnell and 40.6 for Grevin.
Yeah, there's not a lot in it between these two, and looking at how, as you say, how they are lap time wise, very, very close together. Grevin got a nice run here, which will force Parnell to go very defensive. They got some traffic just ahead of them that they are still going to have to contend with, but the drive that Grevin was able to get out over the up through turns 3 and up through the twisty section there very, very nicely as they sidestep that Porsche GT3 there and continue their battle on as they head in towards the start of the boot.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just going to have a look a little bit further up as well. Kept a bit of an update on Scrivens and Toyka. Gapped is still holding at 0.9 at the moment. So last time, only Scrivens lost 2/10 relative to Toyka last time around. So whether that's a small mistake for Scrivens or whether Toyka's putting the hammer down, we'll just have to wait and see. We've still got 6 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock right now, so still a long way to go. Probably about 5 laps to go from where we are right now.
Yeah, definitely. And with the way the racing's been, it's going to be quite a long 5 laps for some of these guys here. We should probably duck back here to Wayne Burke, still in a very good battle here with Daniel Benefield just in front of him and Dominic Oliveira right behind. So these guys going at it quite hard. Benefield very defensive down into the bus stop and not a lot of room separating these cars. This train's going to reform here right now, right back up to 5 to 6 cars. So a lot of experience with these guys, some great racing that we've seen so far through the night, and the big surprise package at the moment is Burke with how he's been able to jump up this field and get involved with it all.
Yeah, absolutely. That undercut certainly worked for him tonight, putting all sorts of pressure on Benefield. Just unfortunate that he couldn't get the run through the S's and up into the bus stop. He had to kind of get out of it a little bit to not run up the back of Benefield, but Oliveira pretty close as well. This is the battle for the final podium position at the moment. See the leader, Marceno, trying to make his way through the traffic at the moment. So this might break up the battle pack a little bit, but we'll see where Marceno catches these 3.
Yeah, I think if anything, just watching the way that he's getting through this traffic, it hasn't really affected the battles too far. It has split them up just a touch, and we've still got that battle just behind this little group with Marinsky, Visser, and Pilo still going on. And we see now Marcino just picking his way through this little front pack. So hopefully we'll see all 6 cars line astern again in the not too distant future. But yeah, certainly Wayne Burke on a charge at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. The gap's opened up just a little bit to Benefield in front of him, but given that there's the prototype of Marceno coming through, that'll close it up, I reckon. But having said that, though, Marceno not able to get past at the moment, but I reckon he'll throw it up into the turn 6, or commonly known as turn 6 if you're running the classic pit layout. So it'll be roughly about turn 7, I think, for this layout. So status quo pretty much for the final podium position at the moment. Gap hasn't changed too much. 3.5 tenths of a second gap to better field for Wayne Burke, and a further 2 tenths back for Oliveira at the moment. So this is the closest battle pack on the track at this time. Also got Visser and Pilo still at it pretty much together. 4 tenths of a second gap for Visser and Pilo between them.
And that other little battle too we spoke of earlier with Bereaven and Parnell looks like a change of position for both of those guys, and they're still going on very closely. Actually, Greven got a lot of damage now on the front of that car, so my time a little bit slow to update, but he's got a lot of damage on the front end of that.
Let's just get a bit of an update. So trying to get through lap traffic, and it looks as though that Greven's had a coming together with Purnell. Sadly, trying to get through lap traffic, and Purnell has had to stay to the right of the wall, but or get in front of that white and green Mercedes. Certainly not the way that he would have wanted it today in this race, but sadly that's the way that the race has unfolded. So back to live, and still focusing on this battle at the moment between Benefield, Burke and Oliveira at the moment. Still gap's no bigger than nearly 4 tenths of a second as they're making their way through the GT3 traffic at the moment.
Yeah, Benefeld able to get a nice run through there, and same for the guys behind, not getting impacted at all by that Audi there as they work their way past. And they've got one more in front of them now, but the battle very, very close. Just watching the way that Burke was getting the nose in very, very early as they went through the toe of the boot seemed to slow him down just a touch on exit. Which gave Benefield a little bit more of a run that he needed to retain that position. But these guys are certainly getting around this track a little bit differently to each other, but proving that regardless of how you do it, the lap time and the difference very, very close. We see Benefield run very wide, which opens the door for Burke too as they make their run up the hill.
Yeah, great move there for Burke to get up into the podium position. But will that allow Benefield to get the cut back? He's trying to go around the outside. Got to see whether they're going to go 2x2 through the bus stop, but I think Benefield's going to have to slide back in to fourth position, and that's going to allow Oliveri to close in. We've got 25 seconds left in this race. Going to come to our overall leader at the moment, as we've got Marciano heading through the toe of the toe section of the track at the moment, as he's passed Jackson Susan Harlow. But yeah, Marciano's had a pretty dominant race for IMSA Sports, currently leading by 11.2 seconds, just casually over his teammate Zach Hanlon. But yeah, pretty much faultless race. Nothing can be put wrong for Marciano as he's coming around the final corner. We'll see whether this is the last lap, which pretty much is, I think. Yeah, so we're going to set the checkered flag in. Marciano will win round number 2 of the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Championship here for the 10:45 GMT split.
Yeah, that was a fantastic drive there. We just got Josh Rogers on screen at the moment, currently leading the GTE class at this point in time. Got a nice gap over Jackson Harlow there of about 18 seconds. So Harlow we just saw getting rounded up by Marcino. Just a couple of corners from the end there, so he's done for now. But yeah, Josh Anderson, great drive, hasn't put a foot wrong, and certainly was able to get a very good, comfortable gap over Jackson Harlow for first and second. So those guys had a great run there, and we'll keep an eye just here on Fraser Williams as well in the Audi, still working his way around just to get home tonight, and again pretty much led from start to finish in the Audi, so hasn't again put a foot wrong. The car looking really, really nice, and lap time and consistency big key for him tonight.
Yeah, certainly. As we've seen quite a number of drivers take to the checkered flag. We will certainly be going through the race results after the race, but yeah, Josh Anderson for Benevel Sim Racing pretty much hasn't put a foot wrong tonight as well in the GTE category, and he will take the class win for round number 2 of the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Championship. So congratulations to him. We've got Williamson as well coming around the final corner as well. So he will take the GT3 category win, and he will go back to back for season 3 of the IMSA Sportscar Championship. So congratulations to him. And yeah, that will be the final car across the line, I think. So just waiting for our race results to be populated so that I can bring you the final race results of tonight. So Simone Mario Marciano takes the overall win, 13.1 seconds ahead of his teammate Zachary Hanlon. And in the final podium position was Timu Toka, so he was able to hold on to the final podium position. Dylan Scrivens finishes in 4th, Tim Graven in 5th place, Chris Purnell in 6th, Michael Davies in 7th. Then Josh Anderson will take the GTE class win, Jackson Cecil Harlow in the second position in class, and Wayne Burke getting that second last lap overtake on Daniel Benefield to round out the GTE podium and finish 10th overall. Benefield, as mentioned, unfortunate that he was overtaken, but yeah, finishes 11th in the overall standings. Dominic Oliveri in 12th, Emina Marinsky in 13th, Bas Bisser in 14th, Adam Pillo in 15th, Georgie Zajon in 16th, Alberto Rodriguez in 17th, Kieran Harrison in 18th position, 19th, Alex Gale, and rounding out the top 20 was Yao Oliveira. 21st was Tay Kim, and Ben Snell in the 22nd position. The GT3 podium was classified by Fraser Williamson taking the class win. Christian Rose in the second position in class, and Jakob Waderka in the final podium position, 23rd to 25th respectively. Ben Johnson finishes in 26th position, 4th in class. Shuhei Ikeda in 27th position, Jacques Swainpole in 28th position. And it looks as though they were into our retirees. 29th, Carlos Martin, Simon Klaassen in 30th, Seyafu Arifin in 31st position, Sven Beber 32nd, and sadly, Evan Marion, the final driver in the results, sadly did not take to the track after, I think it was about 9 or 10 laps into the race, where he must have had an incident somewhere that we sadly missed. But that rounds out our field for round number 2 of the IMSA Sportscar Championship.
Yeah, I think we saw some great racing tonight, and it looks like we've got a couple of guys have jumped in for interviews. So we might first bring up Josh Anderson, class leader for the GTE Championship tonight, and we'll have a bit of a sit down and chat with him and just get his thoughts on the race. G'day, Josh. Welcome to the Apex commentary box, mate. Congratulations on the round 2 IMSA win here tonight at Watkins, Glen. Love to get your thoughts on how the racing went and how you found it out there.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pretty good race, I think. Yeah, it was sort of. I made a few setup changes immediately before the race, because I thought, why not? And it was interesting. The car was a bit taily in some spots, but that's all part of the fun, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. It looked like you had a good little battle at the start with Jackson Harlow. You guys seemed to get away to a pretty comfortable lead very early on in the race, but obviously with the going into the 6 hours of the Glen, without giving too much away, how are you guys feeling comfortability-wise with the setup of the car that you've got after the result tonight?
Yeah, the start of the race, I actually haven't done an IMSA race for quite a while, so I had to sort of remember what to do, and I went a bit early. So I caught back to the back of the DPs, which was suboptimal. So that sort of held me up a bit, and Harlow could sort of stay with me. But I knew once they had a gap, I'd pull away. So I wasn't too worried. Setup-wise, I actually don't know if I'm doing the race yet. I've got a university exam on Monday, so I don't know if I want to stay up all night Saturday. Yeah, the sort of setup's alright. It's, you've got to get your eye in on the circuit. Got to do it. It takes me a few hours to get my eye in, especially with obviously I was racing last weekend in the Aussie car, so it takes actually quite a couple of laps to adjust, let's say, back to the physics of iRacing, which feel a bit different. So yeah, I think it's alright.
Well, yeah, I mean that's one thing too. Obviously, with yourself doing the real world stuff, going from the Aussie cars back to the sim in iRacing, and that obviously noticed a big difference as far as feel and commitment that you've got there. But with obviously keeping with tonight's run, how did you find with the traffic and that? Looked like you guys had a pretty decent pace advantage over obviously the GT3s, and as you were saying, being up towards the back end of the DPI category, did you find there was much difficulty with the car placement and getting around through those guys?
There was one hairy moment, we'll say, when I don't remember who it was. A DP was getting past two GT3s battling, but not to be arrogant, I felt I had a comfortable gap, so I basically just rolled out of the throttle 300 meters before the corner, and sort of let them all sort themselves out. Just to be smart, because it'd be a bit stupid to get involved in a crash with a lead like that. So apart from that, I actually didn't really see too many other cars. So it was a bit of an extended test session, which is all right.
Look, you take the win anyway you can get it, mate. So look, before we let you get out of here and enjoy the celebration for tonight, we better get a shout out for all the sponsors currently helping you guys out get through for.
Everyone at Vanderval Sim Racing, all the guys, and then all the sponsors too, SimiCube and Draw Once, they obviously help us out.
Well, thanks a lot, Josh. Again, congratulations on the race win tonight, mate. If we see you out for the 6 hours, all the best for that. If not, good luck with the exams.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
All right, we'll also bring up Fraser Williams, class winner in the Audi tonight in the GT3s. And Scott, we might let you take this one over if you like.
Yeah, not a problem. Welcome, Fraser, to the ApexRacingTV commentary box. Congratulations on your win tonight. It looked as though that you had a fairly dominant race, but just tell us a little bit about it from your perspective.
Well, I did the same as Josh in the start. I was watching them and my relative and saw that they went, which is when you know that you can go as a GT3 class leader, and I kind of went way, way, way before green. So apologies to the rest of the GT3 field, because that was a pretty bad start for me. Apart from that, managed to break the draft early on. The traffic was all clean, and just sat and did 45 minutes worth of laps to the checkered flag.
Yeah, absolutely. How did you find the weather out there tonight? It looked as though that the track was playing a bit of havoc for some of the drivers out there. But how were the tyres throughout the 45 minutes of the race?
I was able to do the same lap times at the end as the start, so I can't really complain. But using the same setup that I used at Monza last week, this was now 20-something degrees warmer, and the car felt more stable. So I've got no idea why, but I'll take it, and at least I now know that I don't need to change anything for later.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going to have a look at the schedule for next week. If I can bring that up on screen. Typically I can't bring it up in replay. But see if I can.
It's Nürburgring.
Okay, so for the Nürburgring next week, I think it's the wet configuration. So yeah, how are your thoughts going into that race next week?
Well, I'm going to say this again, but it was one of my worst tracks until the Sportscar Open went there, and I sat and did 2 weeks of nothing but. So it'll be interesting to see. I've never driven in a GT car before properly. Who knows what will happen, because it always throws up some interesting situations.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So just before we let you go, is there anyone that we would like to thank before we let you go?
Just all the guys in the team, Tim, Timu, and Dovis, all did the race in the DP. We'll see what happens come Saturday in the actual 6 hour, but I don't think I'll be in my precious Audi.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, cheers for that, Fraser. Certainly hope that you're able to make it 3 from 3, and certainly hope to see you next week.
Yep, cheers.
And I think just as I see Simone Moreno Marsono, I'm just going to hand that one over to you, Dan, as we will bring up our overall winner for today.
Yeah, congratulations, Simon. Well done on the race win tonight here for the Strength of Field IMSA race. Very dominant display from yourself tonight. love to know how you found the car out there tonight, and obviously working your way back through the traffic later on in the.
Yeah, hello guys. Well, I think we were kind of prepared for the race, especially me and my teammate Zachary. I mean, probably didn't do a lot of laps as me because he is more busy than me. I did perhaps 700 laps before the week, so that's why perhaps I was so good in terms of speed, probably. Don't know.
Yeah, well, your lap time consistency for tonight very, very good. I think just looking between your outright best and even last lap of the race was only 1.3 seconds apart. So the car looks to be working very, very well for you. How did you find it with the slightly higher track conditions? I think we saw at one point it was 44 degrees out on track. Was that playing any issues with the tyres at all?
Well, yes, this car is a little bit weird in terms of handling when the surface is very hot, as it was in the race. But I don't know why. I was just trying to drive smoother, and the lap times were all the same, lap by lap. So this car is sometimes really weird when you like brake half of a meter later and you lose like 1 second maybe. But if you keep calm and drive smooth, you keep consistency. Even there is like a change, a delta weather like 560 degrees. I mean,
Yeah, well, the car looked to be working very, very well for you out there tonight. And did you find there were any difficulties with the lap traffic as you came through? From what we could see, looked like most of those guys gave a lot of room to yourself and allowed you to get through reasonably cleanly. But did you have any awkward moments out there?
honestly, I was just seeing that I was leading very easily. I mean, with a little bit of plenty margin. So I just kept to no risk. Even perhaps majority when there were some GT3 damaged car, when they break, the car is so unstable. So I prefer to no risk and perhaps lose something like 2-3 seconds again the second. But of course, then drops again because also other guys had to manage the traffic as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's great insight there. And obviously, are you guys, we're expecting, we're likely to see you guys out for the Glen 6 hour this weekend. Thoughts on that? Looking forward to that. And seeming obviously you guys look to be in a very good position, especially with yourself and Zach having a great run first and second out here.
Yes, thank you for the streaming. I would like to thank also with my teammates the work we did, and also my team and my sponsor as Logitech G and Astro Gaming Moto Simulation and the Confederation of Australian Motorsport. I think we done a very good setup work and we are plenty prepared. So we are kinda happy in terms of how the race will be. I think we will do a decent race.
Yeah, definitely. Well, again, look, congratulations to yourself tonight, Simon. You got a very dominant display out there tonight, both yourself and Zach. Certainly something very, very proud of. And we do see you out there for the weekend for the 6 hours. Certainly all the best to yourself. And
Yes, it will be a very huge race, a very huge soft race, I think. Whatever the category.
Absolutely. Well, look, if we see you out there for the next race, I believe we're at the Nürburgring WEC race. Look forward to seeing you out there. But for tonight, mate, congratulations on the race and class win.
Thank you. Again, thank you for the very good professional streaming work, and have a good day. See.
Fantastic. Well, that was our race winner tonight, Simon Marciano, taking a very dominant display out here tonight for the Watkins Glen IMSA 1045 official race.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly a fairly dominant performance for IMSA Sports, and certainly didn't put a foot wrong due to the caliber of Marciano. So we'll have to see whether he will be around for any of the future races. We'll see that we have quite a lot of regulars this week. Some may have been in the lower splits tonight due to the fact that there was 120 plus drivers signed up for today's race. So very, very strong turnout tonight. But having said that, though, turning our thoughts to next week, Nürburgring for round number 3. What are your thoughts heading into the next week, Dan?
Yeah, I think look, based on what we've seen with the Nürburgring in previous events, and looking at how the cars perform, especially on some of the high-speed circuits like what we've seen tonight here at Watkins, Glen, and last week out at Monza, I think the racing overall will be very, very well. Probably very well suited again to the DPI. Downforce of that car probably really going to show its strength around the Nürburgring. I think the GT3 category class, as always, turns on a phenomenal show, and a few of the likes of Fraser Williams and the guys there in the GT3 category class, we're in for some fantastic racing. Looks like we got up here at the moment just the upcoming rounds for this championship. So obviously, as we say, Nürburgring next week, and then Mosport a week after that. So I think racing, all in all, certainly going to be a very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going to get up the list for our upcoming broadcasts on Apex Racing TV. We've got the iRacing VRSGT Sprint Championship for round number 2 of the championship. That will be at Montreal. That will be starting at 8 AM GMT. And then following that, we have the BSR MX5 Pro Series for round number 14 at Le Mans. That'll be starting at 19:15 GMT. That will be on tonight, Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we have the Dynamic Sim Racers World GT Series for round number 9 at Zolder. That will be tomorrow at 19 GMT. And then we've got the BSR TC Pro Series for round number 9 at Le Mans on the Thursday and that will be starting at 19:10 GMT broadcast. And then we have Sim Racers Asia Formula Series for 2019 Season 2. That will be round number 1 of the championship, and that will be at the Nürburgring Grand Prix layout. That will be Saturday at 13 GMT. Trying to calculate it back. That will be starting at 2100 Australian Western Standard Time. And 2300 Australian Eastern Standard Time. So that will be certainly one to watch. And then on Monday we have the IMSA Sportscar the IMSA World Challenge. I think that might be one of the endurance events for that championship. That will be at round number 8 at Le Mans, and that will be starting at 12:45 AM on the Tuesday. So that will be a relatively I wouldn't say a late US time slot, but yeah, that would be in the early evening to late evening for the US time slots. And then we'll be back for round number 3 of the IMSA Sportscar Championship on the Tuesday, the 25th of June, back at 10:45 GMT. But yeah, I think that will pretty much wrap it up for tonight's broadcast. Thank you very much as always, Dan.
Yeah, not a worry at all, Scott. Thank you very much for what you've done and the camp. Very appreciative of that.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we also got to thank the drivers that make this series possible as well. So we also want to thank them as always throughout the past couple of seasons. We'll be back next week as always for round number 3 of the Nürburgring. Of the iRacing IMSA Sportscar Championship. That will be at the Nürburgring circuit, 10:45 GMT as always. But yeah, that will pretty much wrap it up for tonight. So thanks you very much for watching. Have a safe week, and we certainly look forward to your company on one of the upcoming broadcasts on Apex Racing TV. And until then, take care.